Rain was falling hard that night. Two men stood close, but their hearts were far apart. One man wore a black suit, tears mixed with the rain on his face. He looked down like he was carrying something heavy inside him. The other man stood behind him. His white shirt was soaked. Blood stained his chest. He looked up at the sky like he was fighting to stay strong. These two men once loved each other deeply, but one lie broke everything between them, and that same lie almost took both their lives. How did love turn into pain like this? Who told the lie? And why did it almost destroy them both? Stay with me. This story will shock you. Tell us your name and where you are watching from in the comments section. Now let the story begin. Please subscribe to this channel for more stories like this one. It really helps us grow and it means a lot. Thank you. Let me take you back before the rain, back before the blood on that white shirt. Back to when these two men still smiled at each other like nothing in the world could break them. His name was Leo. Leo ran one of the biggest business empires in the city. Tall, sharp jaw, always in a black suit like he was born wearing one. People said he never smiled. People were wrong. He smiled all the time. He just didn't smile for them. He smiled for Theo. Theo was different. Soft brown hair that never sat the same way twice. Warm eyes. The kind of person who laughed at his own jokes before anyone else did, and somehow that made them funnier. He worked as a doctor at the biggest hospital in the city, saved lives during the day, teased Leo mercilessly at night. They lived together in Leo's penthouse, top floor, glass walls, a view of the whole city glittering below like someone spilled stars across the ground. Picture this. It's a Tuesday evening. Leo walks in from work, tie already loose, jacket slung over one shoulder like a man who just survived a war of spreadsheets and shareholders. Theo is on the couch, still in his hospital scrubs, feet up on the coffee table, eating cereal. Not breakfast cereal time, dinner time. Cereal, Theo, Leo says, dropping his bag by the door. It's 7 in the evening. Theo doesn't even look up. Cereal doesn't check the clock before it's good. Stares at him for a second. Then he walks over, takes the bowl right out of Theo's hands and eats a spoonful himself. Theo tries to grab it back. That's assault. I'm calling the police. You're a doctor. Doctors don't call the police over cereal. Watch me. Leo just laughs, sits down next to him and hands the bowl back. This is their normal. Small fights over nothing. Big laughs over everything. If you walked into that penthouse on any given night, you'd think these two men had the easiest relationship in the world. But watch closely. Watch Leo's hand. Every time his phone buzzes on the counter, his eyes flick toward it fast, too fast, like a reflex he can't control. And every time he turns the screen face down before Theo can see it, Theo notices. Of course he notices. He's a doctor. He reads people for a living, but he doesn't say anything. Not yet. He just watches Leo's shoulders tighten for half a second, then relax again like nothing happened. Let's go back further. 3 years back, actually. To the night they met. It was a hospital gala. Boring, stiff, the kind of event where everyone wears a fake smile and talks about money they don't need to talk about. Leo was there because his company funded half the building. Theo was there because his mentor made him go. Leo was standing near the drinks table, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, when a waiter tripped. A full tray of champagne glasses went flying, and one glass landed straight on Leo's very expensive black suit. Theo, of all people, was standing right there. And instead of apologizing on the waiter's behalf like a normal person, he just looked at the wine stain spreading across Leo's chest and said, "Well, at least it matches your personality, dark and dramatic." Turned to look at him, slowly. The kind of look that usually made grown businessmen apologize on the spot. Theo didn't flinch. He just grinned wider, and Leo, the man who never smiled for strangers, laughed. Actually laughed. Right there in the middle of a gala full of stiff suits and forced conversation. "Got nerve," Leo said. "Got a napkin too if you want it," Theo said, holding one out. "Or you could just wear the stain. Honestly, it's an upgrade." That was it. That was the whole beginning. A ruined suit and a bad joke. From that night they were inseparable. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into late-night phone calls. Phone calls turned into Theo showing up at Leo's office with lunch Leo never asked for, and Leo pretending he didn't like it when secretly it was the best part of his day. 3 years later, here they are. Same jokes, same teasing, same easy laughter filling that penthouse every single night. Except now, there's a phone that gets turned face down. Except now, there's a folder Leo keeps locked in his office drawer, one Theo has never seen inside. Except now, sometimes Leo goes quiet in the middle of a conversation, staring at nothing, like his mind just walked into another room and forgot to bring him along. One night, Theo catches it. They're lying on the couch, Theo's head on Leo's chest, some random movie playing that neither of them is actually watching. Theo looks up. "Where'd you go just now?" Leo blinks like he's coming back from somewhere far away. "What do you mean, you went quiet?" Like 3 minutes of silence, quiet. That's not normal Leo silence. That's something's wrong silence. Forces a small laugh. "I'm fine, just tired, work stuff." Theo studies his face for a second longer than usual. Then he shrugs because what else can he do and settles back against Leo's chest. "Fine, but if work stuff turns into you disappearing on me, I swear I will show up at your office and embarrass you in front of your board members. I'll bring balloons." "You wouldn't. Try me." Leo smiles down at him, and for a second whatever was bothering him seems to melt away. He kisses the top of Theo's head. "I love you, you know that." "I know. Everybody loves me. It's a burden I carry." Shoves him lightly and Theo laughs, and the moment passes light and easy like it always does. But if you looked closely, if you really looked, you'd have seen Leo's eyes drift once more toward that phone on the counter. Face down, screen dark, waiting. Here's the thing about Leo. He didn't grow up with much. His family had money, yes, plenty of it, but not much warmth. His father taught him one lesson above all others: never let anyone see you as weak. Not your rivals, not your friends, not even the people you love. Leo built his whole empire on that lesson. Cold outside, careful inside, trusting almost no one completely, Theo cracked that shell. Slowly, one bad joke at a time, and Leo let him in further than he'd ever let anyone in before. But old lessons don't disappear just because you fall in love. Some part of Leo still believed that protecting the people he loved meant keeping certain things from them. Not lying, not exactly, just managing, controlling what Theo saw, what Theo knew. He thought he was protecting him. He had no idea he was building the very thing that would tear them apart. Meanwhile, Theo had his own history. He grew up watching his mother get lied to, again and again, by a father who always had a reasonable explanation for everything. Theo swore he'd never let that happen to him. He swore that if anyone he loved ever hid something big from him, he would know. He would feel it. Call it instinct, call it trauma, call it whatever you want. Theo could smell a secret from a mile away. And right now, standing in that penthouse kitchen a few nights later, watching Leo's phone light up for the 4th time that evening, watching Leo glance at it and then quickly slide it into his pocket without answering, Theo feels that old instinct stir awake. "Who keeps texting you?" Theo asks, trying to keep his voice light like it's just a normal question. Like his stomach isn't tightening while he asks it. Leo looks up. For just a second, something flickers across his face. Something Theo has never seen there before. Guilt maybe, or fear. Nobody important, Leo says. "Work. Work text you don't answer at 9 at night, Theo." Leo's voice comes out sharper than he means it to. He notices, softens it immediately. "It's nothing, I promise." Theo nods slowly. He doesn't push. Not tonight. But something inside him has shifted, quiet and small, like a crack forming in glass that hasn't shattered yet but will. Because here's what nobody tells you about love. It doesn't fall apart all at once. It doesn't happen in one big explosion. It happens in these small moments. A phone turned face down. A question dodged just a little too fast. A silence that lasts 3 minutes too long. These two men, standing in their beautiful penthouse with the whole city glittering below them, still laugh together every single night. Still tease each other over cereal at dinner time. Still fall asleep tangled together like nothing in the world could pull them apart. But something is coming. Something has already started, quiet and slow, moving underneath all that laughter like a current under still water. And neither of them knows yet just how close it will bring them to losing everything. It happens on a Friday. Leo remembers this later over and over because Fridays used to be his favorite day. He's in his office on the 40th floor signing off on a deal that took 8 months to close. His assistant, a sharp woman named Delia, walks in holding a tablet like it's about to explode in her hands. "Sir, you need to see this." "Wait, I'm having a good day." That word makes him look up. Delia never says no. Delia says in a moment or after your call or let me check your schedule. She never just says no. He takes the tablet. It's an email, anonymous sender. No name, just a string of random letters and numbers. The subject line says, you should ask him about the accident. Leo's stomach drops before he even opens it. Not because he knows what's inside, because of the word accident. There's only one accident that word could mean. And it happened 2 years ago, before Theo, before any of this. He opens the email. Inside is a photo, grainy but clear enough. A car crushed on one side, smoke rising from the engine. And standing next to it, phone in hand, is a man Leo recognizes instantly. Not from the photo, from real life. From every single night for the last 3 years, Theo. The email has 3 lines of text below the photo. Leo reads them slowly, like reading them fast might make them more true. He was there that night. He never told you. Ask him why. Leo sits very still for a long moment. Delia shifts on her feet, unsure whether to speak or leave. Where did this come from? Leo asks, voice flat. Untraceable. It already checked. Whoever sent it knows what they're doing. Leo closes the tablet screen. His jaw is tight. Get me everything you can find on the accident, every police report, every hospital record, everything. Delia hesitates. Sir, if I may ask. Now, Delia. She leaves without another word. Leo sits alone in his office, the city stretched out below him, glowing and indifferent to what's happening 40 floors up. He thinks about that night. 2 years ago, before Theo. His younger cousin, Ren, driving home from a family dinner, a car crash on a wet road. Ren didn't make it. The investigation closed a long time ago. Ruled an accident. Wet roads, poor visibility, nothing more. Leo grieved, buried his cousin, and slowly, painfully moved forward. Then months later, he met a doctor with soft brown hair and a bad sense of humor at a hospital gala. And for the first time since the funeral, he felt something other than grief. He never once thought to ask Theo where he was that night. Why would he? They hadn't even met yet, but the photo says otherwise. The photo says Theo was there, at the scene. That night, Leo picks up his phone and calls Theo. It rings twice before Theo picks up, breathless, like he's walking fast down a hospital corridor. Hey, can this wait? I've got a patient in 20 minutes. Where were you 2 years ago? October 14th. Silence. A real silence, heavy and sudden, the kind that says more than words ever could. Leo, what is this about? Just answer the question. Can't just pull up my calendar from 2 years ago in the middle of a shift. Can we talk about this tonight? Leo's hand tightens around the phone. Fine, tonight. He hangs up before Theo can say anything else. That evening, Theo walks into the penthouse and immediately feels it. The air is different, heavier. Leo is standing by the window, back turned, not even bothering to look at him when the door opens. Hey, Theo says carefully, setting his bag down slowly. You okay? Leo turns around. In his hand is the tablet, the photo already pulled up on the screen. He holds it out without a word. Theo walks closer, takes the tablet and looks. His face changes immediately. Not confusion, recognition. That's the part that guts Leo the most. There's no confusion on Theo's face at all. Just recognition and something underneath it that looks a lot like fear. Leo, I can explain. Explain what? That you were at the scene of my cousin's accident and never told me. For 3 years. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Theo? Because right now it looks like you knew something about the worst night of my life and decided I didn't need to know. Theo sets the tablet down carefully on the counter like his hands might shake if he doesn't. I was working that night. I was one of the responders. I didn't know he was your cousin until much later. By the time I realized we were already us. I didn't know how to bring it up without it sounding like this, like exactly this. So you just decided not to. I decided it wasn't going to change anything. Leo, I couldn't save him. I tried. I want you to know I tried everything I could that night, but by the time we got to him, stop. Leo's voice cracks slightly on the word, the first real crack Theo has heard from him in a long time. You're telling me you held my dying cousin's hand and then came home to me every single night for 3 years and never said a word. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Theo? Because from where I'm standing it looks exactly like that. Room goes quiet. Outside, the city keeps glowing, keeps moving, completely unaware that something inside this penthouse is starting to break. Theo takes a step closer. His voice drops, softer now, almost pleading. I was going to tell you. I swear I was. I just never found the right moment, and then time passed and it got harder and harder until it felt like there was no right moment left. There's never a right moment for something like this, Leo says. You make the moment. That's what people who actually trust each other do. So this is about trust now, isn't it? You've been hiding something from me since the night we met. That's not a small thing, Theo. That's not something I can just shrug off. Theo's eyes are shining now, bright with something he's fighting hard to hold back. I never lied to you. Never told me the truth either. That's the same thing when it's something this big. Turns back toward the window, arms crossed, jaw tight, staring out at the city like it might have answers he doesn't. Theo stands there watching his back, feeling something between them shift in a way that scares him more than anything has in years. Leo, please look at me. Leo doesn't turn around. Asking you to trust that I had my reasons. I'm asking you to trust me. How can I trust you, Leo says quietly, when I just found out you've been keeping this from me for 3 years? What else haven't you told me, Theo? The question hangs in the air, sharp and unanswered. Theo opens his mouth, then closes it again because the honest answer is more complicated than either of them is ready for. Here's the thing nobody's told him. The photo, the anonymous email, none of that happened by accident. Somebody sent it. Somebody wanted Leo to find out exactly like this in the worst possible way at the worst possible time. Somebody who understood exactly how much damage a half-truth could do to two people who loved each other completely. Neither Leo nor Theo knows this yet. Right now, all they know is the wall rising up between them, brick by brick, built from silence and old grief, and a secret that should have been shared a long time ago. Theo leaves the penthouse that night. He doesn't slam the door. He just closes it, quiet and final, and that quiet is somehow worse than any argument could have been. Leo stands alone in the living room where they used to eat cereal at 7 in the evening and argue about nothing and laugh about everything. The city glows outside the window, indifferent as ever. On his phone, unnoticed in the chaos of the evening, a new message sits waiting. From the same untraceable sender. That was just the beginning. 3 weeks pass. 3 weeks of Leo showing up to work early and leaving late, burying himself in numbers and meetings so he doesn't have to think about the empty side of the bed. 3 weeks of Theo picking up extra shifts at the hospital, telling himself he's doing it for the patients, knowing deep down he's doing it to avoid going home to an apartment that suddenly feels too quiet. They don't call each other. They don't text. Pride is a strange thing. It keeps two people apart even when both of them are hurting in exactly the same way. Leo throws himself into work harder than he ever has. His board members notice. His employees notice. Even Delia, who has worked for him for 6 years and seen him through every kind of crisis, starts leaving small snacks on his desk without saying why. He doesn't touch them. He just keeps signing papers, keeps taking calls, keeps pretending the weight in his chest isn't there. One night working late, he finds himself staring at an old photo on his phone. Theo, laughing, cereal bowl in hand, caught mid-sentence about something ridiculous. Leo doesn't remember what the joke was. He just remembers laughing so hard his stomach hurt, he almost calls him. His thumb hovers over the name for a long moment. Then he sets the phone down and goes back to work. Across the city, Theo isn't doing much better. He's standing in the hospital break room at 2 in the morning, coffee gone cold in his hand, staring at nothing. A colleague, an older nurse named Priya who has known him for years, sits down across from him. "You look terrible," she says, not unkindly. "Thank you, really, very encouraging." "What happened with you and the suit?" Theo almost laughs at that. That's what Priya always called Leo, the suit. Because the first time she met him, he showed up at the hospital in a full tailored suit to bring Theo lunch, looking wildly out of place among the scrubs and stethoscopes. "He found out about the accident," Theo says quietly. "About me being there, about his cousin." Priya's face softens. "You never told him." "I didn't know how. Every time I thought about it, I imagined this exact moment. Him looking at me like I betrayed him." Turns out imagining it didn't make it hurt any less when it actually happened. Priya is quiet for a moment, turning her cup in her hands. "Theo, can I say something and you promise not to get mad? When has that ever stopped you? You didn't lie to protect yourself. You lied to protect him. There's a difference. But from where he's standing, all he sees is that you kept something from him. He doesn't know the why yet. Have you actually told him the why? Theo opens his mouth, then stops because the honest answer is no. He never got the chance. Leo shut down that night before he could explain everything, and pride kept them both from picking the conversation back up. Maybe you should make him listen, Priya says. Really listen, not just hear you talk. Theo doesn't answer. He just stares at his cold coffee, thinking about a version of that night 3 weeks ago where he actually finished his sentence instead of watching Leo walk away. Meanwhile, back at Leo's office, something else is happening. Something neither of them knows about yet. Delia walks into his office holding another tablet, and this time her face is pale. Sir, there's something you need to see. It's about the emails. Leo looks up sharply. What emails? The anonymous one. We managed to trace part of the sender's digital footprint. It took weeks, but it finally cracked through some of the layers they used to hide themselves. She sets the tablet down. Leo looks at the screen and his blood runs cold. The sender isn't some random stranger. The digital trail leads back to a company account. One belonging to Marcus Vale, Leo's former business partner. The same Marcus Vale who Leo pushed out of the company 2 years ago, after discovering he'd been quietly funneling client money into a personal account. Marcus swore revenge back then. Leo hadn't taken it seriously. People say things like that when they're angry and losing everything. He never imagined Marcus would actually follow through, and certainly never imagined it would come in a form like this. There's more, Delia says carefully. It found records showing Marcus reached out to a private investigator 8 months ago. The investigator was hired specifically to dig into your personal relationships. Sir, he's been watching you and Theo for months. Leo feels something cold settle in his chest. Why? We think, to find exactly this kind of leverage. Something big enough to destroy your personal life, since he couldn't touch your business anymore. Leo sits back slowly in his chair, the pieces falling into place with sickening clarity. The photo wasn't just information. It was a weapon, and Marcus had been aiming it at the one relationship Leo actually cared about protecting. He thinks about that message. That was just the beginning. Find him, Leo says quietly. Find Marcus, now. But finding Marcus turns out to be harder than expected. He's gone quiet off the grid, no active accounts, no recent transactions anyone can trace. Days pass with nothing. Then, on a Thursday evening, Theo gets a call at the hospital. Unknown number. He almost doesn't answer, but something makes him pick up. Is this Theo? A man's voice, calm, almost pleasant. Who is this? A friend of Leo's. Or, well, I used to be. I have some information you might find interesting about the accident, about what really happened that night 2 years ago. Theo's grip tightens on the phone. What are you talking about? Meet me tonight. Warehouse District, Dock 14. Come alone and don't tell Leo. If you want to actually save what's left between you two, you'll want to hear this before he does. The line goes dead. Theo stands frozen in the hospital hallway, heart pounding. Every instinct tells him this is a bad idea. Every instinct also tells him this might be his only chance to fix things, to get real answers, to bring something back to Leo that isn't just an apology but actual proof of the truth. He goes. The warehouse district at night is exactly as unsettling as it sounds. Empty buildings, flickering streetlights, the distant sound of water lapping against the docks. Theo walks in slowly, phone gripped tight in his pocket, every nerve on edge. A figure steps out from the shadows near Dock 14. Middle-aged, sharp suit despite the setting, cold smile. You must be Theo. Leo has good taste. Where's the information you promised? Straight to business. I like that. Marcus circles slowly like he's studying prey. Here's the truth. The accident that killed Leo's cousin wasn't just bad weather and wet roads like the report said. There was a mechanical failure in the brakes. A failure that traces back to a supplier contract Leo personally signed off on, cutting corners to save money on a deal I helped negotiate before he pushed me out. Theo's stomach drops. You're lying. I have the original supplier reports. The real ones, not the doctored version that made it into the official investigation. Leo's company buried it to avoid liability. His cousin died because of a decision Leo made, and he spent 2 years letting everyone believe it was just an accident nobody could have prevented. Are you telling me this? Marcus smiles, cold and satisfied. Because you're already broken up over one secret. Imagine what happens when you find out the man you love isn't the victim in this story. He's the reason his own cousin is dead. Theo feels the ground shift beneath him. Everything he thought he knew cracking apart in real time. "I don't believe you," he says, but his voice shakes. "Check for yourself." Marcus tosses a folder toward him. It lands at Theo's feet. Everything's in there, documents, signatures, all of it. "Take your time deciding what to do with the truth, Doctor. It's a heavy thing to carry." Marcus turns and walks away into the darkness, leaving Theo standing alone on the dock, folder at his feet, heart pounding so hard he can hear it in his own ears. He kneels down slowly and opens the folder. What he finds inside is not what he expected at all. The folder is empty of what Theo expected. No forged supplier report. No signature proving Leo's guilt. Instead, there's a single real document buried under blank pages meant to look convincing at first glance. A genuine investigation file, the one that never made it into any public record. It says the brakes didn't fail on their own. They were tampered with, deliberately, and the maintenance order authorizing that supplier switch wasn't signed by Leo at all. The signature is close enough to fool a quick glance, but Theo has seen Leo's real signature 1,000 times on hospital donation checks, on birthday cards, scrawled lazily on grocery lists. This one is wrong, just slightly, just enough. Someone forged it. Theo's hands start shaking as the truth settles in. Marcus didn't come here to reveal a secret. He came here to plant one. A lie wrapped inside just enough real information to make it believable, aimed straight at destroying whatever was left between Leo and Theo, and maybe destroying Leo's company along with it. Theo's phone buzzes in his pocket. A text from Delia, Leo's assistant, someone he's only met a handful of times but exchanged numbers with once, just in case. Marcus Vale traced. "He's dangerous. Don't confront him. Where are you?" Theo types back with shaking hands. "Warehouse District, Dock 14. He has a folder. He tried to frame Leo. He doesn't get to send it. A hand grabs his shoulder from behind, hard, spinning him around. It's not Marcus. It's two men Theo has never seen before, built like they've spent their whole lives doing exactly this kind of work. "Mr. Vale would like a word," one of them says. He doesn't like people reading his files too carefully. Theo's phone gets knocked from his hand, skidding across the wet concrete. He doesn't remember when it started raining, but it's coming down hard now, cold and sudden, soaking through his coat in seconds. He tries to run. He doesn't get far. A hand catches his arm, yanks him back, and Theo swings without thinking, connecting with someone's jaw. It buys him half a second, nothing more. The world tilts as something hard catches his side, and pain blooms sharp and immediate. Somewhere in the chaos, his phone, cracked and lying in a puddle, manages to send the text after all. One bar of signal, just enough. Across the city, Leo is in his office, still working late, still avoiding the empty penthouse waiting for him. His own phone buzzes. He almost ignores it, almost. Something makes him look. The message from Theo's number stops his heart cold. He calls immediately. No answer. He calls again. Nothing. Delia bursts into his office at the same moment, face pale, tablet in hand. "Sir, I just got a partial message from Theo's phone. Warehouse District. Marcus is there." I think Theo's in trouble. Leo doesn't remember grabbing his coat. He doesn't remember the elevator ride down, or getting into his car, or the drive that should have taken 20 minutes and somehow takes 12. All he remembers is the rain hammering against the windshield and a single thought looping over and over in his mind. Not him. Please, not him. He arrives at the docks to find chaos already unraveling. One of Marcus's men is on the ground, holding his jaw, groaning. The other is nowhere in sight. And there, near the edge of the dock, rain plastering his hair flat against his forehead, is Theo, on his knees, one hand pressed hard against his side, blood soaking through the white fabric of his coat. Marcus stands a few feet away, watching with something between amusement and irritation, like a man whose plan has gone slightly sideways but not enough to worry him. "Leo," Marcus says, almost pleasant, like they're meeting for coffee instead of standing in the pouring rain over a bleeding man. Right on time. Leo doesn't even look at him. He's already moving, dropping to his knees beside Theo, hands hovering, unsure where to press, panic cracking through every carefully built wall he spent his whole life constructing. Hey, Hey, look at me, I'm here, I'm here. Theo's eyes find his, glassy but alert. The folder, he manages, breath ragged. Marcus forged it. Signature, it's not yours, he set you up, all of it. Don't care about the folder right now. You have to, he wanted to frame you, use it to destroy everything you built and use us to do it. Finally looks up at Marcus and something in his expression shifts entirely. The panic is still there, but underneath it now sits something colder, sharper. You did this, Leo says quietly. You heard him, Marcus shrugs, unbothered. He shouldn't have swung first. My men don't take kindly to that. You sent that photo, that email. You knew exactly what it would do to us. I knew exactly what it would do to you, Marcus corrects. Turns out breaking two people apart is remarkably easy when they're both too proud to just talk to each other. All I had to do was give you a reason to stop trusting him. He gestures toward Theo. And give him a reason to stop trusting you. Everything after that you did yourselves. Leo's jaw tightens, something dangerous flickering behind his eyes, but he doesn't move. Theo's hand, weak but firm, closes around his wrist. Don't, Theo says quietly. He's not worth it. Just get me out of here. For a moment, Leo looks torn between two versions of himself, the man who wants to make Marcus pay for every second of pain he's caused, and the man kneeling in the rain with the person he loves bleeding in his arms. He chooses the second one. He always would if he's honest with himself. Sirens sound in the distance, growing closer. Delia, it turns out, didn't just alert Leo. She called the authorities the moment she read that partial message. Marcus's smug expression finally cracks as blue and red lights begin flashing against the wet warehouse walls. He glances toward the sound, calculating, and for the first time all night looks genuinely uncertain. This isn't over, he mutters, backing away. It is for you, Leo says, not even looking up from Theo. Everything you did tonight, it's documented. Every fake email, every hired man, every forged signature. You just handed the police everything they need. Marcus doesn't wait around to argue. He turns and disappears into the rain and shadows of the warehouse district, and whether he gets far or not is, in this moment, the last thing on Leo's mind. Stay with me, Leo says, focusing entirely on Theo now, pressing his own jacket hard against the wound at his side. You hear me? Stay with me. Kind of hard to leave, Theo manages, a weak attempt at his usual humor, breath still shaky. You're crushing my ribs with that jacket. Don't joke right now. If I stop joking, you'll know it's actually bad. Lets out a sound that's half laugh, half sob, something raw and unguarded that he hasn't let himself feel in weeks. I'm sorry, he says, voice breaking. For everything, for shutting you out, for not listening. I should have let you explain that night instead of walking away. You can apologize properly once I'm not bleeding on a dock, Theo says, gripping his hand tighter. Deal, deal. The paramedics arrive minutes later along with the police, and the whole scene dissolves into flashing lights and shouted instructions and hands lifting Theo carefully onto a stretcher. Leo doesn't let go of his hand the entire time, walking beside the stretcher all the way to the ambulance, rain still falling steady and cold around them both. Before the doors close, Theo looks up at him one more time, exhausted, pale but present. Hey, Leo. Yeah, I never stopped loving you. Not even for a second these past 3 weeks. I just didn't know how to fix what happened. Leans down, forehead pressing gently against his. We'll figure it out together, I promise. Ambulance doors close, and Leo stands there in the rain, watching it pull away, feeling something inside him finally settle after weeks of chaos. Not relief exactly, not yet, but something close to hope. The hospital room smells like antiseptic and cheap coffee, and Leo hates it. He spent the last 6 hours in a plastic chair that seems specifically designed to be uncomfortable, but he hasn't moved from it once. Theo is asleep, chest rising and falling steady now, color back in his face. The surgery went well. The knife wound, as it turns out, looked far worse than it actually was. Painful, yes, dangerous if left untreated, but nothing vital was hit. The doctor called it lucky. Leo called it something closer to a miracle, though he'd never admit that out loud to anyone but himself. Around 6 in the morning, Theo's eyes flutter open. He blinks slowly at the ceiling, then turns his head and finds Leo sitting right there, exactly where he's been all night. Still here, Theo mumbles, voice rough with sleep. Where else would I be? I don't know, running a company, being important. You're more important. Theo smiles at that, small and tired but real. Careful. If you keep saying things like that, I might start expecting it. Theo tries to sit up a little, wincing, and Leo is immediately on his feet, adjusting the pillow behind him, fussing in a way that would have embarrassed him a month ago. Now he doesn't care. I read the folder again, Leo says quietly once Theo is settled. The police pulled everything from Marcus's place this morning. Forged documents, hired investigators, months of surveillance. He's facing charges for assault, fraud, and a list of things I don't fully understand yet, but my lawyers seem very excited about. He's done. Theo lets out a slow breath, some tension leaving his shoulders that's probably been sitting there since that night on the dock. And the real report, about your cousin. Leo's jaw tightens slightly, but there's no anger in it now, just old grief resurfacing gently. It really was just an accident. Wet roads, bad visibility, exactly what the original investigation said. Marcus lied about the tampering, about the forged signature, all of it. He built an entire story just to hurt us. I should have believed you'd never cut corners like that, Theo says softly. Even for a second, I'm sorry I let him get in my head at all. You were bleeding on a dock in the rain, Theo. I think you're allowed some confusion. Still, Theo reaches for his hand. I should have called you the second Marcus contacted me instead of going alone. I should have let you explain 3 weeks ago instead of shutting down. Leo squeezes his hand gently. We both handled this badly. Let's just agree on that and move forward. Deal. Theo studies his face for a moment, something softer creeping into his expression. Can I ask you something? Anything? Didn't you ever tell me about Ren? About the accident? In 3 years, you never once mentioned him. Leo is quiet for a moment, looking down at their joined hands. Because talking about him made it real, made the grief real. I thought if I just kept moving forward, kept building the company, kept not thinking about it, it would hurt less eventually. He looks up. It didn't work, by the way. Grief doesn't care how busy you keep yourself, Theo says gently. It really doesn't. I should have told you, Leo continues. Not because of the accident itself, but because you deserve to know the parts of me that hurt, not just the parts that are easy to love. Theo's eyes go a little glossy at that. That might be the most honest thing you've ever said to me. Get used to it. I have a reputation to maintain. Theo laughs, then winces immediately, one hand pressing against his bandaged side. Ow, okay, no more jokes until the stitches heal. Finally, some peace and quiet. You'd miss my jokes within a day. Probably within an hour, Leo admits, and Theo grins at him, wide and warm like sunlight breaking through weeks of gray sky. 3 weeks later, the penthouse looks exactly the same as it always did. Glass walls, glowing city view, the same couch where they used to argue about cereal. But something about it feels different now. Lighter somehow. Theo is finally cleared for light duty at the hospital, though Priya still hovers over him like a worried older sister every chance she gets. Leo has scaled back his hours slightly, something his board members are still adjusting to, delegating more than he ever thought he could, making room for actual evenings at home. Tonight, it's a Tuesday, and Leo walks in from work to find Theo on the couch, feet up on the coffee table, eating cereal. Theo, Leo says, dropping his bag by the door, unable to keep the smile off his face. It's 7 in the evening. Theo doesn't look up. Some traditions are sacred. Walks over, sits down beside him, and instead of taking the bowl, he just leans over and kisses the side of Theo's head. I miss this, us, the stupid cereal arguments. Theo sets the bowl down, turning to face him properly. I missed you too. All those nights apart, I kept thinking about how much I'd give just to have one more stupid argument about dinner cereal with you. Well, here we are. Moment, they just sit there, the city glowing outside the window, quiet settling comfortably between them instead of the heavy kind that used to sit there weeks ago. Can I tell you something? Theo says eventually. Always. That night on the dock, when I thought I might not make it, my last thought wasn't about the hospital or my patients or even Marcus. It was about you. About how much I regretted we spent 3 weeks not talking over something we should have just sat down and worked through properly. Leo's throat tightens. I thought about that too. The whole drive to the warehouse, all I could think was, what if I lose him before I even get to apologize properly? Well, Theo laces their fingers together. You got the chance, don't waste it. Don't plan to. Reaches into his pocket then, pulling out a small velvet box, and Theo's breath catches immediately. Leo, let me finish before you start crying and ruin the moment. Theo laughs wetly, already tearing up. No promises. Leo opens the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring inside. I spent 3 years being too careful, keeping parts of myself locked away because that's what I was taught love should look like. Guarded, controlled. You showed me something different. You showed me that real love means showing up, even with the messy parts, even with the grief and the fear and the stupid pride that almost cost us everything. I don't want to keep any part of myself from you anymore. Marry me? Theo doesn't answer with words right away. He just leans forward and kisses him, slow and certain, like every ounce of doubt from the past few weeks has completely dissolved. Yes, he finally says, pulling back just enough to rest his forehead against Leo's. Obviously, yes. Although I do want it noted that you proposed during a cereal dinner. Very romantic. You love it. I really do. 6 months later, they get married in a small ceremony at Leo's forest estate, just outside the city. Close friends, warm lighting strung between the trees, Priya crying dramatically in the front row, and telling everyone she always knew despite constant complaints about the suit for years beforehand. Delia gives a toast that somehow manages to embarrass Leo in front of his entire board, fulfilling a promise she apparently made to herself years ago. Standing there under string lights, surrounded by people who love them, Leo looks at Theo and thinks about how close they came to losing all of this over silence, over pride, over a lie designed specifically to tear them apart. And he thinks about how, in the end, it wasn't the lie that saved them. It was choosing finally to tell each other the truth, even the hard parts, even the parts that hurt. Because that's the thing about love worth keeping. It's not about never having secrets that scare you, or never making mistakes with someone you love. It's about choosing, every single day, to be honest anyway, to let someone see the parts of you that grief and fear taught you to hide, and trusting that they'll stay. Leo and Theo learned that the hard way, but they learned it. And in the end, that's what mattered most. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel for more stories just like it. It really does help us grow, and it means more than you know. Thank you for watching until the very end. Lesson from this story: true love isn't about having no secrets to protect. It's about choosing honesty even when the truth is hard. Because silence, not the truth itself, is usually what breaks people apart.